Work to Game presents Anthem Free Radio, coming at you live and on YouTube, with your hosts, Brian, Chemistral, and Nightmare Demon. Adventure with us as we learn more about the world of Anthem.
Welcome everybody to Anthem Free Radio, episode 4. I am Brian. Apparently I forgot who I was for a second. Joining me is Chemistral.
Good morning.
And we've got Nightmare down in the corner. You can't see his face, but you can see his face.
Good morning.
It's been kind of really interesting as we've kind of gone on this journey with this podcast. And if you're just now, joining us and you're wondering what Anthem Free Radio is, it is a journey of the question about the game Anthem, about Bioware, about EA, the relationship between the publisher and the developer over the course of 2018 and even into 2017 as that kind of year rounded. There's obviously been a lot of gamer frustration and focus. Now we're just, I think, 15 weeks away from the release of Anthem. And there's a lot of real positive things that as we are following the game, as we're kind of diving into the lore, as we're watching the various releases, that I have to say that I'm really shocked and awed. So coming up on today's show, we're going to be covering the latest AMA news coming off of Twitter. The devs have been just on point, releasing and answering people's questions over and over again, sometimes being able to expand on more details. They've already started doing various Let's Plays and streaming. They had Paris Games Week, which we covered in our last episode, episode 3, if you haven't seen that. And then I guess 3 comes before 4. We've got a weird naming convention here on Anthem Free Radio. We're Delta episode right now. Sorry, I'm a little bit loopy. It's been a crazy week for me. But then also coming up on the show, we're going to be talking about kind of what they've learned from Alpha. They put an extensive post. They are showing off so much. And yes, it could be a big marketing ploy, but I think for me there's a kind of a recognition, because English is not my primary language, that they are really listening and taking in feedback and really trying to build this game for the community. And everything I've seen continues to feed me with those positive thoughts. That's not to say that Anthem's going to be a success, and that's what this podcast is about. It's about our journey to release and beyond with the game Anthem. So I've had, Chemistral here. He was somebody who was definitely on the fence. Like I went and we were talking about this, and this is kind of how we decided to start this. And the reason I bring this up before we get into the big core of the episode, like I talked about, is that we were like, well, let's see what happens. Let's see if we're like, are we getting good, feedback from the devs? Are we getting our questions answered? And we're going to see where this goes. And so far, the journey is continually reassuring. I like to know, Chemistral, like, are you, you don't need to agree with me. Sometimes it makes better podcasts if somebody here does not agree with me. But like, I'd like to know, from y'all's perspective, because we were having this conversation offline about like our experience so far with this journey with Anthem so far as we're preparing for release. Where does your heat gauge fall as it comes to a game, as it comes to like our trepidation? Because the joke we were making that isn't going to be in the top of it is obviously like by BlizzCon, the Diablo Immortal, big pushback, big negative, people calling them the next EA, people very upset with some of the business decisions these companies make. Obviously EA had that last year with Star Wars, with loot boxes and things like that. So there's a lot, I think, going against it from gamer perspective, gamer cred. So it's really up to the Bioware team to really deliver. And so I'd like to get your heat gauge from where we started this podcast journey just a couple weeks ago. They've been releasing so much information. We went from a bi-weekly to a weekly now. And where you are today.
Let's say when Anthem was first unveiled, I had absolutely no interest in it whatsoever. It wasn't until, you guys started to get interested in the game. Of course, if your friends are interested in the game, you may kind of start to check it out a little bit. So kind of keep an eye on it. And finding out it wasn't just a traditional shooter, but a looter shooter, something I like as far as looting mechanics go. I love Diablo 3, played Melee Wizard. You can do a whole lot of crazy things. So I'm looking forward to see all the shenanigans you can pull in Anthem. From then up till now, my hype level has risen. It's not at Smash levels of hype. The fact that you can play
if Smash is the ultimate bar, like is it even possible to break through that roof?
Yeah, I don't think it's possible just because like Smash is just like we go a long way back.
Yeah,
but it's definitely something I am more excited for Anthem now than I ever have been at any other point since its initial conception.
Okay. Nightmare, same question for you. Like, what's the heat gauge like from when we started? Because like our first episode, we said we're nervous about this game, but we're so curious that we just have to talk about it. Where are you today compared to where we started?
Yeah, for me, when the game was first announced, this was before, like when they first showed us Anthem or like snippets of it, it was before the whole Star Wars Battlefront fiasco.
Yeah.
And it was before the bombing of Andromeda.
Okay.
And for me,
I'm glad you said Andromeda. I was like, what are we getting
into? I was super excited for Andromeda. Yeah. And then the game comes out and it's just an unfinished thing. There's so much bugs and broken things about this game. It was just, it was terrible.
Yeah.
And then Star Wars Battlefront 2 happens, all the fiasco behind it, and just like my hopes for Anthem just kind of plummeted.
Yeah. Because
it's EA.
Right.
And I just have major concerns with EA. Now, after, of course, they finally fixed Battlefront. They changed the things in it, and it made it better. I've played it recently. It's better. They took away the whole loot box progression thing, and it's gotten better, but they still messed up initially. Now, with all the info that these devs are sharing, and anywhere I can find out, there is no devs that share this much info in the production process of the game. They don't tell you anything usually.
And so, the question, and what we'll end up discovering here, in the next several, weeks, essentially, we got a couple months. February 22nd is the release date. If you are not aware, is that what we'll discover is that this was a good thing or a bad thing, because sometimes people want what they know, and then essentially they get that and they're like, this is nothing special. Sometimes they don't know what they want until you give it to them. Now, Chemistral brought up a good point. This is kind of a looter shooter. It's like, is this a Diablo? Is this a Borderlands? Is this that kind of genre? Because it's PvE focused. So that gives them a lot of creative freedom for them to play in this playground.
It gives them a lot to play around with. So.
And the fact that it doesn't have a PvP, the fact is it doesn't have kind of a first-person aspect. It's like a lot of people were originally gearing this game up to be kind of a Destiny 2, something to compete with that, because it's
Destiny
sci-fi.
2 killer.
Yeah, it's sci-fi. There's this world. Yeah, you're multiplayer. It's a shooter. And it's like, I think as we've so far seen, it doesn't feel like it's necessarily trying to compete in that space as much as when you look at what Forsaken's doing and various things like that.
The more we see, the more Anthem feels more in line with Borderlands than it does with Destiny. That's just really the feel I get from it.
I can agree with that, yeah.
So that really excites me even more, because I've spent a lot of time in the Borderlands universe, and I'm waiting on Borderlands 3, but this will definitely this is definitely going to fill that hole.
I think
maybe this will kind of encourage them to go ahead and make it if this does really, really well.
I can't say what I know, so
wait, what?
Yeah, so I'm not going to say anything. Nothing confirmed or denied. But it's that it's like what is public knowledge is that they've been showing off like, here's what Borderlands 3 would look like in this rendered stuff at GDCs and things like that. So it's pretty much kind of something's being worked on as to when and when we'll see it. It's like, honestly, to my perspective is that take your time, make it amazing. So that's kind of where it's like, same thing with this is like, so a big part of this discussion that we're gonna have today is on what they learned from the alpha, and Chemistral is going to be driving that conversation. Before we could sit here and just talk all day, but I want to jump into the news, because that's one of the things that there's so much news, there's so much stuff they keep releasing day in and day out. I want to try to keep anybody who's following along in this journey with us, up to date on what is happening. So Nightmare, you're our go to our man on the street, Nightmare, who's our Anthem News correspondent.
The weather is terrible out here.
A Shaper Storm is coming in from the right side, and it doesn't look like it's going to clear up till Moon Day. And then what you're going to see here is lots of freaking, scabs. They're running around and they're just tarring things up. I haven't seen anything like this since the last time. I lost my track of thought. Anyway.
I was looking forward to see where this would go.
Well, I have a character that I've been baiting on actually introducing to the channel. It's like I've done skits with him. Like he's like I really enjoy him, but I don't know if the Work the Game audience is ready for it, and it's just anyway.
Sounds like something to see in our end cards.
Man, right?
Anyway, yeah. So back to our man on the street. Let's get it going.
To the man on the street.
Nightmare with Anthem News. I wish we had Anyway, go ahead. Nightmare. We got a lot to cover. Break it down for us, please.
Diving into the news this week, we have some decent info from the stream that they done and the AM88888. So join me as we get right into it. One of the questions that came up was, will there be more futuristic weapons? They seem antique compared to the awesome abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And from the answer to that was, I think Mark Gamble said it was, we may do this in the future. Higher rarity weapons have more to them also. So apparently we're going to have, hopefully that means we're going to see some pretty cool weapons than what we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just one of the first questions I came across. And then for those that are curious, according to Ben Irving, the next stream will be next week sometime. They haven't confirmed exactly when, but they're saying that hopefully the next one will be next week.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to cover that because I'm going to be out at Las Vegas for FanFest.
Yeah,
so
I will definitely be recording and taking some info.
Excellent.
We'll set you up an office down there. You can just have in.
Yeah, exactly. Get yourself up, man.
Heck yeah.
Also, with N7 week happening this week, since we saw Mass Effect note, it looks like all the javelins will have an N7 skin because Mark Gamble shared a picture yesterday for the Interceptor decked out in an N7 skin.
The lore guy in me is like, like the game theorist in me is like, and this shows the connection between Anthem and
it's one of the worlds from the
Mass Effect are connected. Is this the future? Is this the past? That's just a game theory.
On that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. Oh, man. Yeah. That's like. I'm sure he knows who I am.
Leaks in there, man. Before we get into the tweets this week from the AMA, let's get into the tweets. Before the tweets, man, we're gonna get into the info we learned from the developer live stream. Ben the Dragon Irving and Michael Nighthawk Gamble did an amazing job showcasing the free roam option of Anthem and tackling world events, all while providing us with a deep, in-depth information of Anthem.
All right, so what is the free roam?
The free roam is basically where you leave Fort Tarsus without accepting any missions or quests.
Is this like the Destiny
That is
Patrol?
my dream.
Is this
it's almost like patrols, basically, from what I've been able to gather. And for that, if y'all want to see the full live stream for yourselves, we will have a link in the description below for that live stream, and you can go check it out for yourselves.
That was a fantastic sound effect. I was like, wow, that was just scam. You're like the police academy guy, the guy who's just like that.
Yes.
It's like, oh my god. Anyway, sorry. Now, bring in the comedy and the news. Go ahead.
Yes, comedy and news. You'll notice if you watch the stream, the gameplay starts with all 3 gear slots are shown in the UI on the bottom right of the screen. Gear slot 1 and the support gear slot images are bugged, which is why you will see a colored box over them instead of an actual ability image. Not real sure why that was, but they didn't really say.
Okay.
Ben explains the Storm's ultimate in detail during this stream. You activate a mode where you drop 3 area abilities, fire, ice, and lightning, that you can place down at different points. Then you can trigger a meteorite to come down and ignite them all.
Nice.
This is great for all-around AoE ability and for crowd control.
I think it was like meteor or something, like it shows like in the text, because it's like, okay, well, we haven't officially decided that this is meteor, but yeah, Definitely
I'm
a
really curious
deeper
about the
rest.
combo potential of this. Like, if you remember how like your abilities can combo with other javelins,
Yep.
like say, freezing enemies in ice while you have the Colossus just raining down like motors. on
Mortars.
you.
Yeah.
Nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I still hope for that as a perk to make it like nuclear bombs, so we get small nukes.
Little
Like the
nukes.
Fat Man gun from
Yes.
Fallout 4.
Yes,
Baby
give me a
nukes,
fat
baby
man.
nukes.
Baby nukes. They also showed the Shaper Relic World event. Shaper Relics go terminal in these situations, and you have to acquire the Echoes to silence the Shaper Relic. While collecting the Echoes, someone will need to keep them in check by attacking them, or else they'll grow and explode.
Attacking the Echoes or attacking the Shaper Relic?
The Echoes. While you're collecting them, while someone is collecting the Echoes, someone else has to kind of keep a check on the other Echoes that are around and attack them to keep them from expanding too much and exploding.
Interesting.
I hope that mode will actually be pretty fun. Like, I hope it doesn't kind of turn to like another bucket duty, like in Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Who remembers that?
Oh,
Where
I
someone's
hated,
assigned.
I
to,
hated
like,
Bucket Duty.
so
I
long,
hated
man.
Bucket Duty. And they're bringing it
So
back.
long.
And they're bringing it back with a remaster of that game.
Oh man. With those, like I guess, like they said before that you're not really going to be able to solo strongholds or the Shaper Relic World events, and I'm assuming this is one of the reasons why, because you're going to have someone who's collecting them, and everybody else is going to have to try to keep the other ones from.
Yeah, but it also had the Dominion running in, and for anybody who's not aware, Dominion is kind of an opposing faction to that of the Freelancers, which is kind of what the player is a part of. And it doesn't seem like you can pick or choose. You are a Freelancer, and the Dominion's there. One of the cool things I did note, and I don't know if I don't think it's in your note, but they the Dominion have their own javelins, and so like the equivalent for Storm, they called it a Valkyrie, and it's like, oh, that's great, you know? Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, sorry, Nightmare. It's like I'm gonna keep jumping in. I'm like,
Spoiler
this
alert.
is really good.
See, I want to
Spoiler
see
alert,
like
future DLC is your choice of playing Freelancers or Dominions.
Not confirmed. Not confirmed.
Not confirmed.
It's like in the news, and we start speculating. It's like, all right, wait, what happened?
They also showcased the revive screen. Mike goes down at one point, and there's a timer in the down state. And after a certain amount of time, you can respawn outside of the engagement area. But there are benefits, though, to repairing your teammates. Secret for now, but could be possible buffs.
Okay.
You will also replenish your health by the health goblets that drop from enemies, and your shield will replenish over time or by doing specific things with specific javelins.
This really makes me feel like Borderlands and Diablo, like Diablo health gloves,
yes.
and then you can probably get gear and things of that nature that maybe return health on kill and things like that nature, because it's like that is such an interesting, because there's no healer javelin.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, we do know DLC javelins should be maybe or might be coming. I guess depending on the reception.
We will see.
Yeah.
Like everything they say is not at launch.
Right.
Not at launch. We will look into it. If enough people want it, we may put this in there.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Ben also explains that the Interceptor has a special ability where if you combo with your melee attacks and kill an enemy, you get an aura that inherits its status effects. So then the Interceptor can run around and apply that aura to any enemies around it. So let's say the enemy is a lightning enemy, and you do this, you will absorb the lightning aura and run around and apply the lightning to other enemies, subsequently damaging, basically DOT effects.
Gentlemen, I think I have my javelin.
Oh yeah.
The support capabilities of this will be very interesting to find out.
Okay. I'm still leaning Storm. All right, keep going.
Colossus all the way, man.
Yeah. Who will be our ranger? Who will be our number 4? Anyway, go ahead.
Ben also talks about Interceptor's target beacon ability, which debuffs enemies to take an extra 25% damage. So there are defensive and offensive utilities. So that right there was kind of interesting too. So
especially that percentage, 25% is nothing to like scoff at. That is huge.
Especially if
can this stack if you have other interceptors? Like, what if you have a squad of all interceptors? You essentially just double damage.
I would assume there's probably a limit on like per debuff. Like you can only apply one at a time would be my guess. Like if you apply another one, it just overrides the previous one for like a timer would be my guess, because that would be kind of OP otherwise.
It'd be broken. Oh yeah.
speaking of OP, there's something later on in here that y'all might not like. Devs will host a stream to go into all the details on how exactly you will be customizing your javelins. But basically, there's power, which is gears and weapons,
Right.
and vanity items in Anthem. All cosmetics are vanity items. So first off, you have the silhouette of your javelin, and is the first layer, essentially the geometric shape.
Okay.
Then the next layer is vinyl, which showcases the pattern and color of your javelin. And the last layer will be other colors and material types to customize your javelin further.
Decals.
Decals, man. Give me stickers. I want all the stickers. Going into some of the AMAAA questions from Twitter, we got some decent info this week. One person was asking about PC. On your PC, you will be able to configure your graphic settings to your likings. Don't know why they wouldn't do that, but that was a question somebody asked. Yeah. A Good Eye by Glenn on Twitter, who asked about these lit up domes we've seen in a couple of streams now. If you were curious, Mark stated that these were temporary markers for landmarks in Anthem. So there's like little like light up things that we see in some of the streams. And I was actually curious, but I didn't really think much of it, but that kind of answers that. The Anthem team is looking into having an optional setting of preferred frame rate or graphics on console.
Frame rate.
I would agree.
Mark stated that the Interceptor most certainly is not the weakest javelin by any means.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll say that about any javelins, just to be honest.
Right?
Yeah.
They're wanting to balance them all out.
Yeah, of course.
To each other. Mark stated that the Interceptor's ultimate ability will definitely be viable in a boss fight. So I'm kind of curious how, like, in a boss fight, how their ultimate ability works. Because from what we've seen of it, it's, you know, they go into their melee super fast mode and just, like, run from enemy to enemy. And, like, a combo, like, chaining together, like, cutting enemies. So I'm kind of curious, like, are you just, like, doing circles around the boss and just, like, cutting his Achilles heels?
Yeah.
I think it also increases your defense, though. So, like, if you need, like, a pseudo tank, say if the Colossus is, like, starting to go down, this guy can kind of step up as an off tank till the Colossus is ready to come back.
Yeah, and this is also kind of an interesting point based off of Destiny 2, though, or Destiny, where it's like you had, you know, like it was the Hunter, and it had its, you know, kind of blades, electric blades dance or whatever, and it was it was not very raid, you know, heavy against a boss. Like against ads, it was like valuable, but it was that. It sounds like they're really trying to make that the Ultimate's abilities, you know, are going to, you know, really kind of make it feel, and not necessarily like, oh, can't, you know, don't want to bring an Interceptor because we're on boss. You know, it's like, all right.
Yeah. So I'm kind of glad they're actually doing that. I'm also kind of curious if there's going to be like gear or whatever that modifies your Ultimate and how it performs.
Yeah. The PvE element of this game means that they really could do anything.
They've got they got a lot of room.
Even if it's not at launch, it's like literally, it's like, okay, we're going to bring in these crazy weapons that are going to, you know, allow you to have different and interesting builds. That, you know, that's all going to be kind of fun to play around with personally.
Back to like with Borderlands and some of their crazy weapons you could get a hold of. I mean, I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with this game.
Yeah.
That was like the one thing that, like, when I started Destiny 2, I don't remember the name of the gun, but essentially, like, it fired like a Star Wars type laser beam, and it was just
Iceheart?
Pew, pew. What was the name of it?
Was it Iceheart?
Not sure, but essentially, like, everyone was using it in PvP, but people all over the forums are complaining because it's like so broken. But
there
like,
was
it's
Prometheus
so much fun.
lens as well that kind of.
I think that was well. Like the name of the lens sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Like the advantage of just having a PvE and not PvP is everyone can be broken in PvE, and you don't have to worry about balancing as much.
Right,
and
exactly.
What bugs me is like with Destiny, one of the things that they've done is when they go to that. So I'm glad this isn't going to have a PvP.
Yeah.
Because they would balance a gun for PvP and then make it pretty much useless when it was really good in PvE because it didn't have a separate balance. Like it didn't change it just for PvP; it changed it for both PvP and PvE.
Before we end up having a Destiny podcast.
Yes. Anyways, there will still be skills within our pilot skill tree to unlock after completing the story. I didn't. That sounds kind of interesting. So maybe just keep unlocking things.
Yep.
But they did state that we wouldn't be able to learn everything. So.
Right.
We learned from Ben that every javelin can push forward to fly faster in the world of Anthem. So good thing it's not just specific to anyone. There are 3 levels of difficulty before in-game in Anthem. Ben stated that they were in the middle difficulty level, known as Freelancer difficulty, during the live stream. The higher difficulty levels, of course, will grant you bonus EXP, loot, currency, etc., etc. And here's the thing that Ryan might not like. The Storm's infinite hover ability was recently changed by the dev team as they found it was too OP in the gameplay.
Yeah.
So you can no longer hover infinitely. Luckily, they didn't, push that at launch and then change it after the fact.
Yeah, I know. It's like, don't get me addicted yet. It's like, no.
My ability.
I was just here for the hovers.
Just here for the hovers, man. Not too long ago, it was stated that our javelins would take fall damage if we overheated in the air and cratered to the ground. But if you notice during the stream, Michael's Storm wasn't taking the fall damage as stated. Ben stated on Twitter that the team is still experimenting back and forth with having fall damage or not having fall damage. So, to be determined till then.
Question for the three of you. How do you guys, three of you. And then
three of you? Wait a minute.
I count as two people. Like,
you don't see that guy sitting behind you? I can see him on camera.
Yeah, I can see him. He's sitting there.
Where's my goob?
Yeah, it's Chuck. Where's Chuck?
Chuck is somewhere behind
Chuck?
I think Chuck's hiding behind the green screen. Terry, the T-Rex is over there. Keep going.
The question is, what are you guys' opinions on fall damage and having this?
For me, fall damage, I mean, I don't really care either way. Like, honestly, I mean, if there's fall damage, cool. If there's not, I mean, I don't really think it necessarily affects much either way. Now, if I plummet out of the sky halfway across the map and fall to the earth and die and have to go all the way back to Fort Tarsus to go back where I was going, yeah, that would probably bug me.
So yeah, that is something I can agree with. Like, it is a bit frustrating. I guess it's like, personally, I kind of like having the idea of a little environmental hazard in gameplay.
Like,
but it's kind of
like 14.
Some people can like it, some people don't like it, so that's perfectly fine.
Because do it like 14. Make me have fall damage, but it doesn't kill me. But if I take fall damage and something else immediately attacks me after fall damage, I'm probably going to die.
Yeah, you're done. Get out of here, son. Have a good day.
Just don't do it like WoW, where I'm like running
reboot,
around.
or get a don't go alone. Have a buddy come revive me.
There you go. Don't let me be like in WoW, where I'm running around and all of a sudden, oh wait, there's a cliff there I didn't know about. Well, crap, I'm dead now. Okay. And to answer the question earlier, Brian asked, free play is when the free roam free play is when you leave Fort Tarsus without a mission selected. Useful for when you're exploring, gathering materials, doing the world events, lore, etc.
Yep.
Lore for Mr. Brian.
That's what I'm going to be hunting, dude. I'm hungry for that.
Lore.
Lore. What they've already set up, what they've already teed off. Like, I really hope that they deliver, but my curiosity is completely spiked. It's like, okay, what's happening? And it's so it's really cool because it's like it really sets up the game for those Shaper Storms, for these, like, why is this boss back? Why is this thing, these Shaper relics are, going nuts, and they're changing how the game world works, and so it's a really cool, interesting lore component, kind of the MacGuffin of all of these different things. But anyway,
I can imagine you having like all like the board behind you with the red pens. You're just kind of like, okay, let's connect to this now. If we do this, okay,
Get little pins.
Like Anthem comes out, and it's like we haven't seen Brian in a while. And then all of a sudden, it's like
I was like rolling over like 40 pages.
On another thing, Mark doesn't think that the damage mitigation of your dodge is a gear slot, so we might not be able to change this after launch. So our dodge is probably going to be a constant thing. There's really not much to change about it, I would suppose.
Okay.
We'll see what
unfortunate, but okay.
We'll see what they do there. The Storm's hover duration, however, is naturally longer than the other javelins. Also, there should be a perk where you can extend the hover of all your javelins.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
So that's going to be interesting.
Absolutely.
To answer the question earlier, when talking about the Interceptor not being the weakest, the Anthem developers are concerned about balance of each javelin, as they want them to be balanced relative to each other, but still serve different play styles. So they are working on that, so that's really good to see that there's not going to be like one that's just like, meh, he's not strong enough to come with us. You must play something else. The next developer stream is set to showcase an in-depth look at our customization options and possibly loot. The devs continue to provide us new information, so keep asking all those questions on Twitters. People, remember to tag with hashtag AMAAAA.
And really, and I wish I had their name to kind of shout them out, but they were because we were speculating what the other A is, and it's Ask Me Almost Anything About Anthem.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Not all right. Ask me anything about Anthem. All right. But yeah, thank you, and I apologize that I don't have your name listed for helping correct that. But in the comments below, yeah, if you guys got information and if we say anything that is incorrect, please let us know. We'll make sure that we try to correct it, and I'll try to be a better host to be able to give credit where credit is due as we go forward.
And also, the Anthem website was updated, showcasing every ability for each Javelin in Anthem. Links will be in the description down below.
Oh yeah.
And that is it for the news, Mr. Chemistral.
Thank you, Chemistral. So we, they on Reddit they did a long post, and they've actually moved this over to the website. But it's essentially what they learned from their alpha test. I'm assuming alpha might be still going on, or they're about to transition into beta. But there's a lot of really cool pieces of information here. Break it down. What did Bioware learn from their alpha test?
Essentially, before I start breaking this down, I do want to say that I really do appreciate Bioware sharing back the results of these tests and not just kind of keeping it to themselves, and let me kind of see like what we can see how our feedback is shaping the game, so to speak.
Yeah.
But moving on,
it makes us feel like, I would say it makes me as a player feel more invested in the world, right? It's like they're the developers. They're going to be ultimately makes the decision. But the fact that like we're asking questions and they're asking like, oh, what would you like to see? And taking that feedback to the teams, that kind of reminds me of when 1.0 to 2.0 for Final Fantasy was happening. It's like, yeah, like, okay, this is what we were thinking. So they're very active in responding, and it's really quite refreshing. We'll have to see how it works out in the long run. But go ahead. Especially
for AAA developers, yeah, because usually you only kind of see this for indie games, so it's very nice.
Yeah, very true, very true, yes.
But as far as what they've learned from it, they said that alpha players had let them know that during their time in Anthem, the loot drops weren't frequent enough and were hard to spot out in the world. Now they said they've done a pass on the frequency of loot drops, and they're looking for more feedback in future tests. They're also investigating a way to make loot drops more visible in the world so it's easier to find. Now, this one is a bit interesting. Aside from just making loot drops more visible to see, which is always going to be a nice quality of life change.
Yeah.
I think that I'll just say this: fans have requested more frequent loot drops, and I'm just saying, no, not yet. It means that that's probably the loot frequency which we're going to get in the final product.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I'm okay with it because I kind of like being able to treasure each piece of loot you get, and makes it more valuable, and not just, my inventory's full again of like 36 guns.
Just junk.
But I know other players do want to have a higher loot drop, especially when you're farming for like one particular gun, and having a low drop just kind of makes that overall process a bit more frustrating.
Yeah.
So some people like it, some people don't.
The one of the things that I appreciated about what Guild Wars 2 does is they have that kind of material that can increase your luck.
The Magic Find, yeah.
Yeah, Magic Find. And it's that, when you look at that, especially with Diablo, like there's things that then have an impact on like how loot drops, and if this loot drops with random rolls and all these different, type of things. So especially to start, like, I kind of like, I don't want it to be like, like it's just, every kill is like, they're just showering you with things. As long as at least if you're doing a mission that you're going to get maybe one or two pieces of loot, but then they're really excited about that drop, and you like, oh man, and if they can make it visible, we can go attack it. Like, okay, I have a drop here, guys. I want to get it. Yeah, it's like gotta get it. So that's it's cool to see that, because that's from the visibility. I agree. I'm looking forward to where I can have hands on with it, because it's like, is it like, I've played 5 hours and I haven't seen anything drop? Or, is it tied into some kind of daily cadence or weekly cadences or some kind of lockout? There's all these things that I'm really interested to see, and it's going to need to see how they go into the beta and things like that.
Especially seeing how, as you and Wes have also agreed, you guys are really interested in seeing what the weekly lockouts for this game could be.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get some more feedback on that soon. But also, they said that all loot is personal and not shared with the team, and they'll make tweaks to ensure that it's clear. That last part added, and they'll make tweaks to ensure that that's clear. Just kind of further cements the idea of, hey, we're not going to be able to trade loot that we get with friends, even if they were honest in that same mission. We don't want any trading in the game. It's kind of, we're dropping the hammer here.
they've been very adamant about that, like across Reddit and Twitter. Like people have asked, and they're just like, no, we're not implementing any trading. And regardless of what's said, it's still no. So do not look for trading at all.
It is interesting since a lot of people have been asking for it, but it's just something we have to deal with.
I mean, there's a few games that get away with it. So I mean, it won't be bad. I don't think.
Especially how the rest of the game's looking, it's going to be fine. And look at it this way, it just means you have to farm more with your friends. And I'm pretty sure playing more of this game multiplayer is only going to be a good thing.
Hopefully.
Right? I mean, there's ups and downs to both sides of the argument. But whatever they go with is what they go with.
Agreed.
It'll still be good with or without trading. I mean.
Oh, yeah, I'm still looking forward to it. Like, it is a bit of a personal setback. I do like to surprise friends with, like, stuff they may have wanted, but I have no use for. But, oh, well. We'll just kind of go from there. The one thing
just make sure we don't see theirs.
True. It's like, oh, you got this. I can't get this. That'd be, oh, wow.
You got it 5 times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what it is. It's like, all right, like, just send it to me, please.
That's literally just dangling the carrot in front of you, knowing that you can't do anything about it to get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, one thing that is nice is that you'll be able to access all loot obtained from a mission upon return to Fort Tarsus, which means no more clogged inventory out in the middle of missions and having to micromanage your inventory while you're out there because it distracts from the fun.
That's not fun. It's like that's just like, do that. Like, that's prep. That's like at the end of the mission, but like in the mission, it's like, oh, hold on, guys, I gotta.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean though that it's like all the loot that like then you go back and then it's evaluated? So it's not like, oh, I got that new gun and now I'm gonna equip it on site.
There's two different sides to that.
Yeah.
That's what they were saying. It's like you get to access all of it. But on another thing they said in regards to that, I remember reading the thing about it. They said that they're also looking into, hey, if you missed this piece of loot while you're out there and didn't pick it up, looking at like kind of like the postmaster on Destiny or the mailbox on WoW. Like if you don't pick something up from a dungeon or a run, then when you get back to town, it's like, hey, it's right here. You didn't actually lose it, or something happens like in Borderlands. Yeah, rolls off a cliff, or like somehow glitches and like falls off the map or something. You just watch your beautiful loot just float away. No,
that is going to be really, really appreciative too, especially with the low loot rate drops that we're going to be having.
Yeah.
So if you do miss something, it's nice to know that you're not actually going to miss it at the end of the run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they said they were looking into making it where, if you happen to not see something or you miss it in a rush of things, then you won't lose your loot. So they're looking into that. So hopefully they do have that implemented.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next test for sure because they have a lot of stuff to work on, but it's mostly quality of life stuff from what we're seeing. So it'll be nice to see these systems implemented in case. Going along that train of thought, moving into progression, say like certain systems such as levelings or how to spend skill points and use the forge to equip gear weren't always exactly clear to some alpha players because the tutorials for these features are just not in place yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so some leveling actions like unlocking new javelins are visible in the menus, but not accessible during the alpha. They're working to finish our tutorials and will seek feedback on their effectiveness once they're in place. So to me, that just kind of reads as we're not quite done with the game. Just kind of give us time while we set these in motion. So we'll see how that goes. Any thoughts from you guys on that?
I mean, it's like at the end of the day, like the feedback is the game. The game needs to help teach, and that's not done yet. So really, that only applies to when
when it gets to that point.
Usually,
does the tutorial make sense?
Works on
yeah.
I mean, like I said, this was the first round of alpha, which typically depending on the game, there's usually 2, 3 rounds, 4 rounds of alpha testing before it ever goes to beta. So they'll probably have it implemented, and they'll be able, because they're basically just like testing individual little things for each little round of testing. So if they're wanting to test the other things, they'll probably implement it for like the next round of alphas, or
Yeah, it's something to be smoothed out later on. Just not much of a first thing you kind of want to get down.
Now, if they say, hey, we're not giving y'all any tutorials at launch, just figure it out.
Oh, it's going to be old school gaming. Let's go. Those tutorials.
Well, that's where I guess enterprising YouTube channels go.
There you go.
Saying, okay, well, we're gonna
work the game.
Well, or anybody. It's not like
Chemistral.
It's not like I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm gonna spend like 30 hours making these tutorials, and it's like, all right.
Unless it gets you 30K subs, but
200K
hours for 30K subs, man. Wow. Like, I mean,
if only the ratio was like that.
Oh man, it's like
man, I'm
like
telling you,
300 million hours for 10. So it's, it's like, okay, let's see here. It's a fun.
Math
It's
is
just
off.
funny. It's just funny. I wouldn't know the ratio, but I guarantee you, it is not a good solid use of my time if I'm comparing it to that of. Like, if I went to just my job and worked that same amount of time, it's like, I could, it's a whole different thing. But that's why I don't know, I don't get into it for like any kind of like money or fame. I really like creating.
It's fun. Content. Yeah, you got to have like a heart for it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
The whole thing is, you get into it for money, you're really not going to get anywhere.
Like there is 1,000 things that you can make way more money doing than you can. Like it's like I don't even know, like
creation,
it's like
that's a podcast for another time.
Welcome to the like if you're thinking about it, like I would encourage people, like that's like I hope that there's a lot of people out there who
that's why we're here, Brian.
Yeah, like you got two creators right here on me with me here. But like there's another guy like Ryan Central that I see kind of posting up on the Reddit forums, and I've kind of checked out some of his videos. He's doing pretty cool. We might need to invite him. There's a couple other guys doing some podcasts about it. Like all in all, like I really appreciate that kind of mindset of people who want to just go out there and like say, hey, like I'm gonna do this thing, and it's like and because I want to do it, and then it's really cool. Like if people like, hey, that's like thanks for doing that thing. I really enjoyed it. Anyway,
and if it it goes somewhere, cool. If not, hey,
exactly.
Having fun with it.
Exactly. That's if you're not having fun, man. It's like you got to find the fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, continue, please.
Another podcast for another time.
We're like
future ideas.
We're making 20 like different here's like the man. Anyway, yeah.
I think we should almost at this rate just have like a casual podcast and just talk about anything. But moving back on the topic of Anthem,
like we did it's podcast inception. We did like a mini podcast in between like all right, guys,
we need to go deep.
We need to go deep moment.
So players have also asked to extend the amount of time they can be airborne, which will be tied to progression and wasn't available in the closed alpha. This type of leveling will be tested in the future build, they said. Next is playing with friends. And this part speaks especially important to me. I'll get on that in a little bit. But it says multiplayer is an important part of Anthem, so we'll make sure it's as smooth and as easy to use as possible. Some of our alpha players mentioned that they ran into difficulties trying to perform a group of friends and couldn't always tell if their teammates had successfully joined their party. We've added several systems that we think will help. Join and leave notifications when there's a change to team makeup, tutorials, and making add, kick, and leave features accessible in different places. This part, I'm really glad to see if they are focusing on, as I know I keep bringing back Destiny 2, but this was like the one thing that kind of drove me away from it. Aside from most of my friends playing on console, so playing on PC, trying to make party, I had to use like some kind of like third-party app. Exactly, if we have crossplay with this game, please. I know you said not at launch, but
crossplay.
Not at launch, but how about day 2?
Day 2, there you go.
Like what is launch? What is this launch window that we're talking about?
At least back when I played Destiny 2, like back in Nutella, it was
Nutella. Well, yeah, it's
Nutella. There you go.
Nutella. There you go.
A new word.
Nutella.
It was really, really difficult trying to like set up parties with like randoms. It wasn't just simple. Just click and invite to party. I had to use like some kind of like website or like an app on my phone. It was just a hassle. And seeing that they're like, hey, we're gonna make it easy for you in game because it's about the multiplayer. It's about playing with friends. It's about making friends. I like to see that.
Okay.
Especially a lot in games. So that kind of speaks out to me personally. I know a lot of people can just go in solo, but this is one thing I'm really, really interested to see how they develop this.
Terry's falling down. I actually also asked on the Reddit kind of thread, like, are there going to be clans? It's like the idea that we could form a group, and it's like, and they said yes, that they've talked about that. And I'm hoping that we're going to see lots of interesting things with that kind of system as well, because I like that they finally brought that into Destiny 2. I like that we have that in Final Fantasy. I like any kind of thing where you can kind of form a group within the game and you can kind of like tag or level, that thing up together.
Level the group as a whole, like Final Fantasy and like Destiny 2. You can level it. The higher the level, the more perks you get in the game.
They're shared for members.
Loot drops or currency drops or materials, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And even if like cosmetic
really
things,
cool
say if you have like javelins with your guild's emblem on it or something, that'd be cool.
Totally. That's what I'm hoping for, and so that was really encouraging to hear, because when it comes to that multiplayer, obviously he's not talking about it here, but
if
it's
only
really
we
important.
had a good cartoonist drawing person to make us
only.
a.
The only downside about that, like like that's kind of one of the things that, like, in retrospect, I realized that, like, I had to set by the wayside is my cartoons because of, like, the amount of time that YouTube takes. You know, it's like when I look at it, it's
still
like
really cool. I still like them.
Thanks.
They're
like
awesome.
at some point, you know, I'm hopeful that there'll be a time that I can get that back, and then, but I'm hoping to work with the kids on that. I'll let you guys talk because it sounds like she's having a tough time.
All right.
So wrapping up the part with friendship, matchmaking and whatnot, it says that some players felt it was harder to find their teammates, and they're iterating on some UE elements to help with this. And they're also planning to add a way to help players who get stuck in the world. Details to be determined. I don't know why, but I just kind of pictured something actually getting like stuck in the map graphically, but I'm pretty sure it's not what they mean.
It could be what they mean. We've seen that happen. You're like, hey, like I got caught in a bug, and how do I get out? You know, you want to be able to, like, help me, find me.
Yeah, there weren't any bugs on your weather forecast. What is this? Yep, that wraps
Bob
up.
Bob there has fell through the map again. Dang it, Bob.
Dang it, Bobby. But these were the first, the first results from the first alpha test. So looking forward to see how test number 2 goes, and hopefully we get to move close to beta soon. Hopefully we can get some beta keys. That'd be nice. I don't know if any devs are watching this, but please,
alpha keys. Alpha keys. Let us take part, please.
No, like, I don't want alpha. I wanted to see when it's closer, because it's like they got plenty of work. They don't need.
Sorry, what was that?
They don't need Ginger Prime coming in weighing in yet. You know,
yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We totally need Ginger
Prime. They already got it. I'm talking on the Reddit forums. I'm talking. You know, it's like I'm really looking forward to it. But at the same time, guys, like, I get, you know, if they called us up and they're like, here's some keys, come play the game, abso-freaking-lutely. But we got, for me, like, on my schedule, people are like, you playing Red Dead? You playing Diablo? I'm like, no, man. Like, I got Pokemon here and like
so many good games this year.
I got Smash.
Man, I always hate this time of year, dude.
Broketober turned into, like, Steal My Money in November. That, you know, man, Christmas is coming around, and it's like, you know, come on, Santa, please help me out.
Between my Steam library and my Xbox library, I have such a massive backlog of games. It's ridiculous.
BDO just launched into alpha on Xbox. I mean, beta on Xbox. So I was tooling around with that a little bit this morning because my kids decided to get up at 5:30.
Might be a dumb question. BDO?
Black Desert Online.
Oh.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's like there is no shortage of things that really are quite interesting, and I think well done, and just that I'm excited about. So I'm actually really happy that
day, we had 2 or 3 games come out a year.
You had, like,
I'm telling you,
I literally remember sitting back as a kid and saying, man, what is it going to be like when I can have 2 games at the same time? What do I play first?
Oh, wow.
What do I
Not having, like, trade
first?
things to get, like, more things. Oh.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my goodness. And
my digital library.
My digital library is, I like digital collections. I'm not, like, much, I'm kind of, outside of the toys, like, it's really cool being a dad, because it's like,
yes,
they want
get toys. It's for the kids. It's for the kids, honey.
Well, we play, like, we got a little Moogle here right now. It's like, give me a Storm plush, please. If that's what I want more than an alpha key. I'll take a beta key, but more than an alpha key. I like, like little toys and stuff like that.
Storm plushie.
But it's that, like, I'm really excited this game's coming out in February. Because it's like when I look at what's happening in the new year, we got Kingdom Hearts 3 in January. Like, it's like every month there is a title.
I forgot about Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
It
sounded like you did. You're like, give me like, no. Like, you guys
Anthem,
are listening.
stay away from me, please. I got Kingdom Hearts. It's going to be taking up all my time.
And it's like, you look
February
at it, it's like
1st.
There's just this level of people like I'm like, I'm not going to get that game because I'll never get to invest in it right now. Maybe some point. But there's been a long period of time as an adult I have yet to be bored.
Man,
it's
I'm telling you.
There's plenty of things. So it's like, and then it's like, I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be, I'll evaluate this game because Julie could easily be our 4th when it comes to, because we've been playing, Black Ops 4 together. So there's just, I have like I have a great life at the end of the day. Like, there are plenty of games, lots of really great stuff. I'm really looking forward to February.
Okay, quick question.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm not the only one. Have you ever pulled up your digital library, looked at all your games, and went, I don't know what I want to play?
Yes.
Start up a game,
That
play
is true.
for like 5 minutes. I don't want to play that. go on to the next one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I did that this
sometimes
morning. I was
the whole
doing
day
League of
doing it.
Legends and Fallout 4. I'm just like, okay, what am I going to do next?
Yeah, you just kind of do a little bit here, do a little bit there. Yeah, it's that's complete. That's a reality of everything where it exists today, and in gaming. One of the best things. Also, we'll probably see patch 4.4, 4.5 with 14. Probably, I'm assuming in January. So I'll play that story. Like, lots of stuff, guys. You gotta pace
Super
yourself.
excited.
You can't play everything. You got like
Yeah, you can. Give me 5 more hands, man. Play everything and 2 more computers.
It's the inverse problem we had as kids. Kids, we had all the time, with no money. Now as adults, we can have the money, but we don't have the time.
Don't have the time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like you got to pick, and it's like for me, like that's why Anthem really excites me because it looks like a game that's going to have a lot of teeth, a lot of depth. I'm really excited about the story and the world, and I'm really looking forward to kind of getting into it and seeing really what Bioware wants to deliver for us. That's why it's like, yeah. And then, I'm good. Like Smash, it's like we'll get Pokemon. Like, man, like what? I don't know what else yet. I'm sure that next year's E3 when they start talking about the next generation of consoles and things like that. Borderlands. There's some big titles that I'm interested in. Final Fantasy 16 will be one of those whenever that eventually gets announced. Hopefully,
I cannot wait.
hopefully the same year that it comes out. Like at the end of the day, hopefully the same year that it comes out. But okay, guys.
Yeah, well,
let's.
on that note,
That's a fun little bit of banter. Sorry, Nightmare, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, unlike Final Fantasy 15, which originally was announced as what Final Fantasy
versus 13.
versus 13, and like
Then like the
10
Crystal
years later-
Novalis series or however it's pronounced, I can't.
Never
I think the
Crystallis.
first time
Thank you.
15 was
The only
announced,
thing I can
like,
actually say correctly in the Final Fantasy universe is that.
Woohoo!
All right, Nightmare. What you got for your final thoughts?
We've pretty much discussed most of them, but super excited for this game and super excited to see more info from the stream next week and what we'll learn from that. Still looking for Colossus. Hopes are that I get mini nukes. Please. Please, Bungie. Come on. Yeah,
Bungie.
please.
Bioware.
Not Bungie. Bioware. Whoops.
Get out of here.
Cut, take,
You're done.
take.
You're done. We'll be looking for a new news anchor next week.
Oh, man.
No.
Bioware. They both start with B. English.
That's true. No, you're good. You're good.
Just please. Please. That's what I'm asking. Please don't pull an Andromeda on me. Please. That is all I ask. Do not pull an Andromeda on me and deliver me an unfinished product and then abandon it and never finish it. Please.
Yeah,
that is my
that's
main
not good.
concern with this.
Chemistral.
As far as my final thoughts with hopes and concerns, my hopes is that we're seeing some great feedback from the developers and players, like this early kind of banter back and forth. Again, absolutely lovely to hear, especially from a AAA developer. So I want to continue to see even more of this as the game gets closer to release dates. And as far as concerns, I still want to see how the cash shop is going to look close to me. How's the monetization going to be? Besides, I think we'll see more than cosmetics. I know they said they only want to do cosmetics, but I think we'll still have things like, skill tree resets, which are, fine. If you can get them in game, you can get them in game. If not, just be careful while you're building. But
and with anything like that, I have no problem if somebody wants to, but if it's you have a path to earn it in the game. And then it's like, you don't want to do that, and that's fine. Like, then you can do that. And it's all about balance, because it's like if it feels like they needlessly made the path to do it, like, oh, you need to play, 800 hours of the game, and then we're going to reward you with this, or you can just give us $20. And it's like, you're really just itching
like
for the
Assassin's Creed
$20.
Odyssey, like how the grind in that, and there's the EXP booster. People say, you don't feel the grind if you get the EXP booster. If you don't get it, you really do feel it. Like, let's hope it's something.
And that's what a lot of people
They
were
have
really
said,
enjoying it. And
like,
they
there
shipped
was
it off.
already statements like Mark Gamble's like, we are not putting EXP boosters or anything like that in the shop. He's already stated multiple times they are not doing that.
If
and I
the
think
game,
can't remember where I saw it. I think Ben even said, if it was pushed for that, we would rather just not do the game,
right,
than have something like that in it. So I mean, that's really good to hear too. On the note of the resets, sorry,
no, you're fine.
On the note of the resets,
trying to anticipate what you're trying to talk about.
We compared this to Borderlands, and I think I've said it before. Because it said something earlier about currencies. So, if you're making money in the game, then more than likely it'll be something in your Strider or in Fort Tarsus. There'll be an option like that, your Forge or whatever, to reset your skill tree, and it'll cost you some of the in-game money or maybe in-game materials. That seems to be the reoccurring theme on games like this. Like, your resets are something along those lines. It's going to cost you something like the currency or materials or whatever. Like,
Yeah, as long as it's
usually
easy.
it's the in-game money.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. If
And
it's able to be done in
usually-
game, it's perfect.
Oh yeah, exactly. And usually with the resets, like depending on like if you reset it, every time you do a reset, it may get a little more expensive, etc. Or it may just be a set price every time, or a varying price depending on your level.
Mhm.
So like if you're like a level 10 just doing a reset, it might cost you X amount. But if you're like, let's say the level cap's 50, if you're level 50, then it's going to cost you probably exponentially more because there's more skills to reset.
So I
Yes.
think at the root of it, I'm looking forward to seeing kind of the gear customization, the strat, like how your javelin's done, your loot, things like they're kind of going to be showing off here soon. I think that's going to be really exciting. I'm going to be out at FanFest, so I don't know how much I'm going to be able to catch with that, so I'll have to be kind of playing catch up when I get back. So it's be sure to try to if you're interested in this game, follow it. Check out the Reddit, kind of the Reddit community. It seems to be like a really good group of people. They've got a nice Discord that's kind of been fun to be a part of, and ask questions and kind of like, oh yeah, because there's a lot of people just kind of it seems like a lot of depth of the game. I think when it comes down to grinding and the gameplay, like if the content's fun and we're having fun doing the content, and it has enough variety so that it's not like, okay, we've run this mission 800 times and it's the same. It's like it's always gonna be the same thing. We go here, we go here, we go here, we're done. And then it's like but if there's enough variety, there's enough it doesn't have to be dynamic, always like changing, etc. But if the world's changing, if the levels, if there's things like that end up happening to make it kind of fresh and new, for the most part, I think that's going to end up like, who cares if it's a long grind if you're playing with your friends and you're having a good time. And the fact that we can all play together, like it's not that if I go ahead and I get further than Chemistral, or Chemistral's ahead than me, we can still group up together and we can still have a good time and we're still making progress. And that's what I'm looking forward to. Now, I guess, if we're sitting here and it's like 800 hours and you're level 5, that might feel like a brutal beating because you wanted to play through the story and experience it. But I'm not too worried about that. I'm really excited to see how this plays out. And the thing is that we're just not that far away. I can't believe how fast this year has already gone.
We're close.
So we are getting ready to wrap it up. So with that sound means it's time to wrap up the show.
Time to go, folks.
It's time to go. And so thank you, Chemistral. Thank you, Nightmare, for joining me. Chemistral, where can people find you?
You can find me at Chemistral on YouTube. I should be having a new video up tomorrow, actually, continuing my playthrough of Dragon's Dogma for the first time, even though it's an older game by now. So I'll be looking forward to that and other videos to come in the future.
And Nightmare, where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Nightmare Demon Gaming, and also on Twitch at Nightmare Demon Gaming, and on Twitter at Cruisnet Gaming. YouTube, hopefully I'll have some more videos coming up here soon, and for the stream schedule, it's on Twitter, so stay up to date there.
Follow me on Twitter. You can see our contact information for Work the Game here listed on the page. We have a special email for Anthem Free Radio if you want to reach out to the show with any questions, comments, concerns, or if you guys are doing some cool things out there and you want us to check it out, please sure to reach out and let us know. For Work the Game, my name is Brian. Thank you, Chemistral, again. Like I said, thank you, Nightmare. You can see all our contact information, and we'll be back probably in 2 weeks, most likely, due to the fact that I'm going to be out and about. And you're going to be, if you follow us at the Work the Game YouTube channel, you're going to see lots of Final Fantasy news coming out over the next couple of weeks. We just did BlizzCon. We got Final Fantasy. We'll probably wrap up the year with some Smash, and then I'm just gonna sleep. It's like I'm just all right, guys. We'll see you like in January or something like that. Terry fell off. We lost Terry.
Terry died.
All right. Anyway, I bumped him. He doesn't. He's got a good stand. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks if you stuck through the entire show. We really appreciate you. Sound off in the comments below. Yeah. Sound off in the comments below. Let us know what you think, what you're feeling. If you have any questions, hit that like button. If you enjoy the podcast, you can also find us on Google, and at some point, I'm assuming on iTunes as well. We've got all kinds of fun things we're working on. And anyway, that's all I've got to share for you guys today. I hope and wish you the most fantastic of weeks. Till next time, take care.
Oh, excuse me. What's up, workforce? Chuck here, telling you should totally like, favorite, subscribe, share, dance, raise your hands in the air. I'm off camera. I'm off frame. I'm new at this. Hey, listen. Yes. You haven't hit that subscribe button. You totally should. I recommend it. Chuck approved. Anyway, also, thanks to all the Patreons. You're in the corners. Whoa!